Good morning. How the devil are you all doing this fine day? Out for the final time. Bonjour. Intermat, well, for me at least, Intermat is almost done. Excuse me. Almost hanging myself with my in-ear monitors. Bear with me 1 second. That's much better. How are we all doing today? It's been a great show. Really has, I have to say. Thoroughly enjoyed Intermat this time around. Left Intermat back in 2018. Thinking that was really good, and it used to be a very French show. It's now a very international show. I hope they can maintain that momentum. Obviously, the show that was scheduled for 2021 didn't happen, so here we are 6 years later, and they've thrown open the doors, and by Jove, it's been a good show. Lots of international visitors, lots of international exhibitors as well, lots of new equipment. The aisles are chock-a-block. I think it's been standing room only every time I've caught the train back into Paris. So yeah, things have been absolutely excellent here in Paris. I'll be showing you a few bits and pieces in just a moment. I can tell you that Dan Cullen is watching. He was actually here at 7:50 UK time, which off the top of my head is about 2 hours and 10 minutes ago or thereabouts. So good morning, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Mark Whiting is here as well. And Chris Ford is here as well. Yeah, bonjour tout le monde. I can't remember what the French for Friday is, but it is Friday. It's my last day at the show. Literally, I need to keep this show to an hour or less because I'll be heading out of here. We've got 2 or 3 new additional films that we need to shoot. And then we will be heading for the train to head on home on the Eurostar. Jim Turner's here as well. Morning, Jim. Obviously, I don't expect Gary Muirhead to be tuning in today because he is busy up at Steel Wrist at the Scott Plant show. Speaking of, our regular guests, we've got one of those coming up. But I do need to tell you today's question of the day, and this was sparked, I think, partly by some discussions over on our WhatsApp group. So here is today's question of the day. Yeah, what is the worst site you've ever worked on? You don't necessarily need to tell me who you were working for at the time. You can if you like, but you don't need to. But what is the worst site you've ever worked on? What was the worst conditions, the worst people to work with, the worst facilities, the worst mud, the worst anything? Let us know. What is the worst site you've ever worked on? I do need to play an introduction because we always do that. So here it is. So, what did you do with your evening last night? Me? I got to hang out with a Formula One driver. Yeah. Largely wasted on me, to be perfectly honest, because Formula One passes me by very quickly. Komatsu invited myself and Fred to an event last night, and the special guest was none other than Jacques Villeneuve. I'm vaguely aware of Jacques Villeneuve. I'm vaguely aware of Gilles Villeneuve from back in the day. As I say, Formula One is not really my thing, but they've got obviously Komatsu is now sponsoring a Williams race car, and as part of the celebration of that, they had Jacques Villeneuve on the stand last night. So, yeah, not every day you get to hang out with a with a Formula One driver. There's my other half saying, I'll see you later. Yeah, it's going to be a long journey home. It's only a couple of 100 miles, but it's going to be a long journey home. So all things being equal, I should be back in Demolition News Towers by about 9 o'clock tonight, UK time, not French time, all things being equal. Now, I did mention earlier, obviously, Gary Muirhead is now pulling the levers up in Scott Plant, and one of our own is pulling the levers here in France. I'll show you exactly what he's been up to after this. Yeah, I said earlier that this has been a very international show, and it most certainly has. I mean, looking out of here, I can see down there I've got a Chinese company. Over there I've got a Korean company. Straight ahead of me, I've got an American company, and over there I've got a Japanese company. I know, I realise you can't see it, but trust me, that really is happening. Over in the outside area, in the glorious sunshine yesterday, there was a Scotsman working for a German company, showing off to the French. Told you it was international. Our friend Steve Williamson has been tugging the levers over at the Kinsoffer stand, and we caught up with him. We are going to be doing a more in-depth film with him at some point during the, well, I think Fred's already got part of it in the can, but just to give you a highlight of what you've missed with Steve at the levers. Yeah, as you can tell, he's been properly enjoying himself over on the Kinsoffer stand. Saw him giving out sweets to the children yesterday. Although he did tell me on a couple of occasions where he's had the forks on and he's lowered down sweets or bags of goodies, adults have stolen them from under the nose of children. People. You just can't odds people, can you? Gary Muirhead is actually here. As I say, I was expecting him to be behind the levers up at Scott Plant with the fine folks at Steel Wrist, but apparently he's taken a short break to be with us. Morning, Gary. Hope Scott Plant is going well. Hope the weather holds for you, my friend. How's it going? Let us know. Gutted that I can't be there, although, you know, given the choice between Intermat and Scott Plant, I still believe I've made the right choice. Some may argue with that, but I think I've made the right choice. Now, let's get Gary off the screen because we do have more to show you right after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, I can assure you we will be back to a scripted show next week, back on Monday, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with lots of tales to tell about Intermat. Obviously, we will have some of the videos edited by then. At least I hope. Fred's not here, so I'm basically committing him to doing some editing over the weekend to make sure we can bring you some really cool stuff on Monday. Our friend Footy has just joined us as well. Good morning, bro. Good morning to you, my friend. I hope you are well. So, yes, more to show you, and we are going to be... I need to do a bit of an intro. When we were at the Intermat press days back in January, back end of January this year, they were very keen, the organisers were very keen to point out the fact that they had two key things, two pillars for the show, one of which was decarbonisation, the other was digitisation. Interestingly, obviously the organisers were very keen to reflect some of the key trends in the industry, but there was no actual demand from for the various exhibitors to play ball and actually turn up with digital stuff and decarbonised stuff, but they have in their droves and lots of electric machines. I got a closer look yesterday at a hydrogen fuel cell prototype ADT from Volvo as well. So there's some very sexy stuff out there, but there's also been a lot of digitisation. Everybody seems to be into all things electronic, including this outfit.
Innovation is part of our DNA. Komatsu is an indispensable partner to the construction, mining, and forestry markets, maximizing value for customers through innovative solutions. Here at Intermat, we showcase how we can have an impact on higher job site efficiency for our customers. Contracts, intelligent machine control, electrification, simulators, smart quarry, and smart construction. Together, we tap into the power of data and technology to enhance safety and productivity while optimizing performance.
We have been working very hard to develop software systems which are brand agnostic so that any customer can use them. And really the target, the goal is to make sure that you can use these applications to improve your job site efficiency and safety. So look more to the process instead of just looking to a machine.
Komatsu has recently launched Smart Quarry Site to assist the quarry industry in improving safety and productivity. With our hardware and software, we provide real-time data and analysis about your fleet and projects, which makes it possible for you to make faster, better, and more accurate decisions. It helps you to increase safety and production and reduces operating costs by identifying issues and bottlenecks.
What's the need for you as a customer? If you say, look, I'm looking to productivity and I want to follow up my fleet, I want to do improvements, then we're going to use a few items from Smart Construction. If you say, no, as a customer, I'm more focused on what every machine is doing, using data really, like the real fuel consumption and maintenance is a very important item, then we would tend to offer you more solutions coming from Smart Quarry. But it's really a package, and purely depending on what does the customer need, that we will offer the correct solution for him, what's most giving him most added value.
We also have a branch of solutions to improve operator skills. With our simulators, we can prepare them to act and react in difficult or hazardous conditions. And we can teach them how to use the machine in a better and more economical way. With the Operator Guidance Monitor, we provide onboard live data to the operator about payload, about fuel efficiency, and about productivity. With real-time feedback, we both challenge and support them. Join us in embracing the digitalization of the job site. Komatsu is not just a manufacturer, we are your partner in progress.
Yeah, lots and lots of digitalisation over on the Komatsu stand. Just very quickly, I did mention the fact that I got to hang out with a Formula One driver last night. At some point yesterday afternoon, I'm working with the guys at Route 1 Publishing. Went over to the Fiat stand. Obviously, Fiat own Dynapack and Bomag and various other bits and pieces. Mr. Fiat was there. Probably a billionaire, I would guess. You don't get to hang out with billionaires very often, but I did yesterday afternoon. All good. Seems like a really nice fella, actually. Now, Footy has said, I'm working on a red rock site at the moment, and they want me to use a form to use my ladder to get into my digger before they will allow me to use it. Very quick answer on that comes from Jim Turner, who says they're just covering their arse. Normal crack nowadays. And Mick Norton rightly says, Graham, you just need to conform to their request. Their insurers are calling the shots. Yeah, I'm sure that is absolutely the case. Absolutely. Now, Mick Norton has joined us. Morning, Mick. Thank you very much indeed for being here. And he says, good morning, Mark. Did you manage to touch base with the Bobcat guy, reference my safety concerns on their OLED product? Yes and no. So I went back to the Bobcat stand immediately after the show yesterday, and he was busy. I went back last night, and I'd missed him. So I've left a message for him on the stand first thing this morning, even before the show opened, because he wasn't in the show at that point. And I'm going to pop back there a bit later on. I've also, just to be absolutely 100% copper bottomed, I've also dropped him a request over on LinkedIn as well. So one way or another, Mick, I promise you, I will get you in touch with the guy. The guy is called Dennis Agnew. So keep watching. Morning, Garrett. Our friend Wolfwelder over from the States, still streaming from the back rooms. Yeah, look at all this space. And do you know what's really annoying? There's a stand just outside where they are demonstrating a conveyor belt system, and the thing they're using to demonstrate the conveyor belt Sorry about the background noise. The thing they're using to demonstrate the conveyor belt system are a bunch of, a couple of hundred hacky sacks. We could have a proper hacky sack game in here, really good. No wonder the industry is struggling to get skilled operators. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Listen, I mean, I've already spoken about it, and I'm writing about it as well. When you look at what's happening with autonomy, not just remote control, but true autonomy, you can't wonder at it. If we can't get enough young people or enough experienced people through the door, something's got to give. And I think one of the things it's got to give is that some sites and some applications will be human free. Might not happen very soon. Might not happen in my career time. Might not happen in my lifetime. But you have to think it's going to happen. One thing I do need to mention, and this is no great surprise because we've been talking about it in vague terms up until now. For those of you that don't know, Dutchy Demolition is now officially in liquidation. The commencement of winding up began on the 12th of April. We'd been hearing some stories about the whole Dutchy group down in Cornwall way, I think, down in Cornwall, and Dutchy plant and various other bits of the company were basically falling. At the time that we heard about that, there was no mention of the fact that Dutchy Demolition would go. I think there were some vague hopes, possibly just mine, that the company might survive. But yes, we've had notification this morning that Dutchy Demolition is no more. So I think, off the top of my head, I think that's 7 demolition companies in the space of about 5 months. And all is right with the world. Is it really? Is it really? Yeah, it doesn't feel like it to me. Now, we've got plenty more to show you. I've already mentioned the World Highways, guys. I'll be coming back to that in just a moment. But first, this. Yeah, a day or two before the Intermat exhibition opened its doors, the fine folks at Wirtgen held a big event, basically talking about technology and all that kind of thing. And obviously the guys at World Highways were guests of honour, I would guess. They were certainly in attendance. But this is how Wirtgen go about talking about technology. You have to say, they do it well. And that is how you host an event. Fantastic. Kind of wish I'd been there myself. Had a few more comments in here, and it's time for me to grimble. Here we go. Here's Footy saying, I turned up on site dressed in orange from head to foot and was told, sorry guys, you're not to wear orange trousers, you need to wear jeans, you have to have a yellow top. And they've done that to every person on site now, apparently. So Jim Turner responded, quite rightly, it would have been handy if they told you the dress code before you got there. Imagine that. You know, I mean, I was invited to an event last night and I was told, dress casually. That's not hard. That's not hard at all. You would have thought, you know, it's not like Footy just turned up unexpected and unannounced. You know, they knew he was coming. They knew he was going to do a job of work. Would it not have been an idea to just drop him a text message or a phone call to say, yellow top, jeans? It's not hard, is it? Not many words. And they're just and this is leading somewhere, I promise you. Just to compound all of that, Footy also says, I've turned up. Let's have a look. Turned up at 7, still not done. I've done 2 inductions and another 2 inductions to do with all the paperwork. Take 2 hours apparently. I've done nothing yet, not even stepped in the machine. It's crazy. It is crazy. And they wonder why productivity in construction has gone backwards. Yeah. Now, if all of that leaves you feeling like you might like to go somewhere else to ply your trade, stick around because I've got something to show you.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, I'm just going to say good morning to our friend, Mr. McKenna. Good morning, Peter. Sorry, late to the party again. No need to apologise. Glad to have you here as always. Mick Norton is saying, regarding robots with drones covering 3D mapping, site inspection, security with minimal human involvement, the writing's on the wall for us humanoids. Autonomous construction equipment for dozing, excavators and haulage, bricklaying robots. Change is on its way. I agree. And there's a large bit of me that has a problem with that because you know a lot of friends work in construction and yeah, you know they could find their own roles under threat. But if we do end up with an autonomous future in which we have a reduced number of people working in the industry will have nobody to blame but itself because it has consistently failed to attract people into the industry. You know, I mean, I'm looking out here at some awesome equipment, some awesome technology, you know, sexy big diggers, sexy technology, sexy digitization, future fuels, all of the kind of things that you think that the younger generation might be interested in, and yet the industry has completely failed to communicate that message. So if we end up autonomous, we will have nobody to blame but ourselves. Jim Turner says, skills are passed down from other skilled people, and the rules don't allow for that with the card system. More plant apprenticeships needed throughout the industry. My lad is on one and he loves it. Yeah, I wonder if we will look back at that and kick ourselves. You know, virtually all of the I'm thinking specifically here about demolition, virtually all of the demolition company directors that I know and respect in the industry today started out, you know, sweeping the yard at 7 years old. You know, they were driving machines by the time they were 9. You know, they were an active part of the company by the time they were 15, all of which has been outlawed because of an overzealous approach to all things health and safety. And as a result, we've now got that gap. You know, rather than inspiring people at a younger age, we're hoping to catch them on their way out of school at 16, 17, 18 years old on the off chance they might be looking for a job. We've shot ourselves in the foot, people. Peter McKenna says, away our drone laws are, you still need a human to operate the drones. You kind of don't know. Yes, you do need I mean, let me put it like this. We've put the drone up here. You saw that earlier in the week. Fred put the drone up here and basically pre-mapped it. So it was a case of, you know, do a fly around of these parts, press the button, it went up, it filmed it, and then he pressed the home button, it came back. So yes, there was a man stood there with a device in his hands, but the actual filming and the droning was being done by the drone itself. And the results speak for themselves. Chris Ford says, no wonder the rest of the world is laughing at our industry. You couldn't make it up. Just over a year to build the Empire State Building, and that was how many years ago? Roll on retirement. Maybe not. Now, I will come back to that in just a moment. Mick Norton says, robots, the naysayers worry that humans are losing their jobs. With that many vacancies in the UK sector, statistically, it would be years before robots would make any discernible difference. I totally agree with that as well. Kids take in what they are shown and taught, says Jim Turner. If they aren't shown on the jobs that are out there, how are they supposed to aspire and figure out and go out and get a trade? 100%. 100%. It is that expression. What is the expression they use on the TV? You can't be what you can't see. And even things like, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, our determination to put demolition and construction sites behind, 7-8 foot holdings so nobody can see what's going on inside. Now, I realise that's partly to keep out potential thieves, potential vandals, and interlopers and that kind of thing. But it's also keeping away from prying eyes what makes this industry great. And the number of people I've spoken to that, how did you get into construction? Some of it's through family, but some of it was, they were building a road near me, and I got to see all the dozers and the graders and everything else, and that was what inspired me. And yet now we tuck it all away behind closed doors, basically. Peter McKenna says the rest of the world laughs at our health and safety, yet we kill less workers than the rest of the world. Maybe crazy, but it's working. Is it working though? We do seem to have plateaued in terms of particularly fatalities, site fatalities. I think we got it down to the lowest ever, which was about 35 in a year, which is still 35 too many. But now we've gone back up to sort of 40, 45. Plus we've got the suicide rate as well, which is almost 4 times the national average. There's not much to be proud of there, I don't think. Now, given all that we've just been saying, we were talking about the parlous state of the UK construction and demolition industry. Have you ever thought of going to ply your trade elsewhere? Have you ever thought about driving really big machines somewhere where the sun is shining? Because that opportunity is open. There's a company that's looking, and this is their recruitment video. Anyone tempted? Have to say, I wouldn't mind a couple of weeks' work at a place like that. Peter McKenna has said, UK metal industry has maybe 1 death a year. Chinese metal industry is up to 10 deaths every day. Is our HSE really that bad? Yeah, I believe it is. I believe our HSE really is that bad. I don't think they're fit for purpose any longer, and that's no fault of the HSE. I think they're underfunded and understaffed and undervalued and under all of the other things. And comparing us with China, I mean, bearing in mind, what are we, 70 million people? Then they're more than 1 billion. So, you know, the averages don't particularly stack up very well there anyway. But also, that's like comparing serial killers. Just because one person killed 30 people and somebody else killed 7, that's not better. That's still 37 dead people. That's not better. Dan Cullen has arrived. Says, good morning, sorry, late. Been busy on the ADT again. Not a problem at all. Dan, good to have you here. And you were here very early at the end of the day. Let's have a look. Peter McKenna also says, we were talking about companies going into schools and colleges. That is already, there is already that choice. That's why schools and colleges have job fairs. I know that Flannery's and Lynch went to one last year. Yeah, and there is the big, what do they call it? The jobs fair up at the NEC annually up in Birmingham. But, you know, think about it. You know, when you go to something, particularly that one at the NEC, you are competing against, or not you, but construction is competing against Google and Apple and Microsoft and all of these high-tech, sexy companies, and we turn up with a few bits of paper that say, oh, construction's marvellous. It's not enough. We're not going out to drag people in. And I think we're doing a poor job, I'm afraid. Totally agree with that. With that, though, Peter, when robots take over the jobs in the world, that's when deaths will be virtually eradicated. I actually had exactly that discussion with my mate Stefano Panseri over at Despe in Italy earlier this year. You know, the one way that you eradicate deaths from site is take man off the site. It really is as straightforward as that. We've done a pretty good job in demolition of moving them further and further back with high-reach demolition machines and with Brocks and Husqvarnas and that kind of thing, moving them back. But if you really want to do away with deaths, don't put men on site, or women for that matter. Just don't put people on site. There'll always be an example, but I'm on about all schools. That isn't already on offer. Yeah, I mean, when I realise I do a very different job, but when I wrote or co-wrote the couple of children's books that I did, and my dad does demolition and my dad drives a digger, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, whenever it was, I reached out to all of the schools in my area to say, you know, I'm a local author and I've got this children's book which I'm willing to donate to your school, dozens of copies of the book to your school. I'll even come to the school and do a reading. And I reckon I must have contacted 50, 60 schools, and I ended up speaking to 4. Not a great take up. And listen, I realise they all have their curriculums and that kind of thing, and maybe they don't want hairy ass demolition types clogging up their schools. But, you know, there I am offering to do something free of charge to potentially inspire the next generation. And I was met with a stony silence almost universally. Mick Norton is saying, card schemes with agricultural tractor fatalities and severe injuries. I visited one card scheme underpinning knowledge questions for the novice operator and was horrified that not a single question referred to the power takeoff and the huge foreseeability of risk therein. Jim Turner will appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. PTOs are not. Well, there is Jim. I'll go straight over to Jim. The PTO really should be top of the list. It'll pull you in and then rip you apart. That's just what you want on a Monday morning, isn't it? Yeah, potentially deadly, and it's not even covered. And I agree with that, pal. He says, Peter McKenna says, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning show. As I said at the very outset, I do want to keep this to an hour or less because I do have another couple of films that I need to get in the can before I call it a day. People were slow arriving this morning, so I'm going to very quickly go back because he is one of our own, and we're going to go back to the very beginning of the show. Just before we go to the crack and have a quick chat, I'm going to replay you our friend Steve Williamson doing his thing right here in Gay Paris. Yeah, one of our own is our Steve, and he's doing us proud. Cracking job, Steve. Peter McKenna has just said, hence why proper guard should be used in the first instance. Can't argue with that. On everything that moves, and Lou Carney reminded me to sneak up on Dan Leaney and give him a big hug. He's over on the Leica stand, apparently. Now, I am heading... Where am I heading? I think I'm heading for... I actually don't know. I need to phone Fred, but I'm going to go back via the Bobcat stand to have a word on Mick Norton's behalf, and I will do my level best to swing by Leica as well. But we do have another couple of films that I'd like to get in the can, including one that involves Bobcat as well. So I'll see how my time goes. But Lou, if I can possibly find Dan and give him a sneak hug, I most certainly will. As I say, we'll be back with the crack immediately after this. Let's get a spot of music playing in the background, shall we? Let's have a bit of... We haven't had this one for a little while. Yeah, back to the old faithful. I was saying to one of the Route 1 guys, Lou has just said he's leaving at 2, so I'll head over to the Leica stand. I'm not entirely sure where it is from here. I mean, I've been past it several times, but I haven't seen... I don't know where it is from here, but I'll go and track him down. Yeah, I was saying to one of the guys at Route 1 Publishing this morning, there is a certain air of melancholy when you get to this part of a show. You know, you spend weeks, and in this instance, months building up to Intermat, you know, making sure you've got all of your gear right, and you've got appointments with all the people you need to see, and we've kept all of those. We've done very well, I have to say. I only missed one meeting, and that wasn't entirely my fault. Partly, but not entirely. So we've been doing all of that, but now I've got, as I say, 2, and if I can sneak another one in, 3 videos that I need to film between now and 3 o'clock this afternoon when I'm heading for the train station. And it all feels a bit, you know that thing that you get on Boxing Day, like all that build up for Christmas Day, and now it's over. It's kind of the feeling today. Still feeling very upbeat. I mean, it's been a cracking show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Met lots of nice people and eaten lots of nice food and had a fine old time. But yeah, it does feel like a bit of a melancholic feeling at the end of the show. Incidentally, you may have noticed that I'm sporting this today. And in passing this morning on our way back from breakfast, I said to Fred, "Do you think I look a bit French?" And he looked me up and down and then walked off, muttering under his breath, "No, you look like a gay sailor." Yeah. That's the kind of emotional support I get from my son. I'm glad he's not here because he's out filming something else. We actually did a real whistle-stop tour this morning. Obviously, I got in the show just before 9 o'clock, which, being a card-carrying press man, I was allowed to do. So I got in here first thing this morning. Went straight over to the Liebherr stand, shot a film there. Went over to the Cabelco stand, shot a film there. We've done an introduction to the overall film of the show as well. And went around. One of the things I was very keen to do, and I mentioned it to Andy Hare yesterday, there's an awful lot of attachments here, and some really sexy big attachments. So we had a real whistle stop this morning, running around getting all of those on film as well. So we'll be sharing that with you at some point next week. And yeah, Monday morning we'll be back to the show proper. It'll be the usual intro. I'll have my stream deck back, so I'll be able to say good morning to you as you arrive. We'll have a mystery machine for you to decipher. We'll be back firing on all cylinders, and obviously I'll be in a room that is much smaller than this one. You just have no idea quite how far that goes back. I mean, I could show you, but nobody wants to see me walking away and then walking back because that's boring. If anybody's got any more, then please let us know. I think we've addressed all of the questions in the chat. I think we have. As I say, I'm going to try and find Dan Leaney first off. I'm also going to go over to Bobcat to see if I can track down Dennis Agnew and put him in touch with our friend Mr. Norton. I'll be doing that today. Our last duty of the day, actually, is to go and sit down for a chat with the organizer of the show, Monsieur Le Carpentier. We have interviewed him before, but we interviewed him when, at the time, the show was very much in the future. It's coming. That was back in January, but we're going to be filming him this afternoon so that he can look back and I mean, personally, I think he should be very proud. Not just proud of the show, but proud of his team. I think they've done a fine job. They've certainly looked after us, journalists, influencers, hangers-on, very, very well indeed. The coaches have been fantastic. The hotel's been absolutely marvellous. They've done a fantastic job. Not a single complaint as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I think that should be a good chat. As I say, I would imagine he is probably flying high at the moment. So looking forward to catching up with him this afternoon. And then it is the journey back. A couple of hours on the Eurostar, back into London, then back out to Surrey. So all things being equal, I will be back with the wife and the children. And almost as importantly, the dogs. Haven't seen the dogs. Did try to do a FaceTime with them the other night. They weren't listening. They weren't paying attention. One of them licked the screen because he thought it might be a biscuit, but no, didn't get any joy out of the FaceTime with the dogs. But yeah, looking forward to getting back home to seeing them, and looking forward to getting back to the studio. This has been an absolute joy, and I have to say, I've been toying with the idea of doing mobile lives for some time. And, this was a perfect opportunity. And thanks to the team at Route 1 Publishing specifically, there's a guy just the other side of a wall over there, a guy called James Howard. He has really made this happen. He's got me a nice, fast Wi-Fi setup. He's provided us, together with the organiser, provided me with a nice big space that I can rattle around in. And it's basically proven the point. I obviously know that we have the technology to take this mobile. Maybe in future we'll have a backdrop or something, or we'll have a mobile light as well, all of which, we're all part of the learning curve. We now know that those are the sort of things we need. But yeah, we've had plans of broadcasting live from places like the JCB factory and that kind of thing. I now know that it is not just doable, it's dead easy. It really is. I mean, I turn up in the morning with the laptop, plug in a couple of plugs, I'm live. It really is as straightforward as that. So yes, that is the plan going forward. And there is my other half suggesting that we have a curry tonight because it's Friday and because that's what we do on Friday. So yeah, that's about, I think that more or less wraps it up. Chris Ford is saying anything to do with the PTO, the rule is switch off the engine. Don't forget about kinetic and stored energy. Wide angle drive joints, especially on balers, can be fun, almost as much fun as a simple spring clip. Yeah. Hazards are plenty out there, people. Hazards are plenty. I'm going to call it a day because, as I say, don't have a great deal of time to work with here. Lou Carney is saying, take it, you want your office back at Plant Works. I need to speak to you about that, Lou, because I have some ideas. I have to admit, I let the side down last Plant Works. I was provided with an office, but because of scheduling and because we were doing work with some of the manufacturers that were at Plant Works, we ended up with our workload a bit skewed. So rather than being able to do what I've done here, go out and film and then go and do a live show, I ended up doing all the filming and not enough of the live show. But now we know the technology exists. Now we know we can do it. We're going to do things very differently. So my plan, assuming all things are equal, is to probably go to Plant Works the day before the show opens, get some footage in the can, and then do the first show on the first day of the show, showing you what we filmed yesterday, and then, on the second day we'll show you the first day, and so on down the line. It will all make sense. Bobcat email contact will suffice if you're pushed for time. Not a problem at all, Mick. I will go and find him. And there's Chris Ford saying, bon voyage. Catch you on Monday. You will indeed. I think that will probably do us. I think that will do us for now. As I say, I'll be back in the studio proper at 10 a.m. Proper 10 a.m. Not the Parisian one. And there's our friend Dan Carlin saying he might have a new job Monday. Good luck with that, Dan. I hope that doesn't mean you can't tune in because, we need the numbers. But yeah, I'll be back in the studio on Monday morning, 10 a.m., bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, with tales of our Parisian adventures and some more video to show you as well. So until then, everybody, go and look after yourselves, your family, your friends, your colleagues. Have a great day. I'll see you. I'll see you on Monday. And Jim Turner says, safe travels for you and Fred. Merci, mon ami. I think that'll do us. I'll see you on Monday. All the best.